Hi guys, it's Fred here, and in today's video I'm going to explain step by step how I would get back to running after a foot or ankle injury. So you can just copy me, you can just copy this system. Why should you bother listening to me, some random guy sat in his living room chatting to the camera? Well, I've actually helped a decent amount of people fix their injury and get back to sport. 304 to be exact, online using my coaching. So that's probably why you should listen. I think that gives me a decent amount of authority in the space. So we're going to use my client Joe as an example. So Joe broke his foot back on the 31st of December, actually. Not a great time to break your foot. And we started working together straight away, so 1st of Jan. And on Sunday, he dropped me a message and he'd just run a 10K off-road, no pain. So I'm going to take you through that whole journey and take you through the exact steps we used, the system, the exercises, misconceptions about pain, lots of different things. But before we get into that, let's run through some of the common mistakes you might be making with foot and ankle pain if you're looking to get back to running. Got my morning coffee. So, to start with, the first and biggest misconception is that the only thing that you need to do rehab-wise is some banded exercises on a bit of paper or maybe some light bodyweight calf raises. People think maybe they can do this for 2, 3, 4 weeks and then suddenly, yeah, you're cleared, you can go back to running. Running places a huge amount of demand on the body in terms of force. So when you're running, you can actually be experiencing anywhere from 3 to 5 times body weight of force going through your lower limb. So if I'm 80 kilos and let's even just take that 3 times body weight, so 8 times 3, quick maths, 240 kilos of force going through my lower body. And so therefore, all the muscles in your lower body need to be incredibly strong to be able to handle that. That's number one. So a lot of people are just chronically underloaded when it comes to rehabbing the foot and ankle, especially when looking to get back to running, because running actually requires a lot from the body. The second biggest mistake I see is this idea of just complete rest. So maybe you roll your ankle, maybe you break your foot, maybe you have an Achilles issue. And what you do is you rest it for a few days, you rest it completely for a week, and then you go back to running, and then you injure it again, and you keep going around in this cycle. And the reason you injure it again is because when you're resting completely, you're starting to lose all the qualities that you actually need to be a good runner. So when you're just sat at home on your sofa, having a nap, not doing anything, you're losing mobility, you're losing strength, you're losing speed, you're losing confidence in your foot and ankle. And these are actually the things we need to improve during the rehab process to hit the ground running, excuse the pun, when you want to get back to running. That's another mistake. And then the final one, which is very similar but slightly different, is just going for a massage, just going for some ultrasound, red light therapy, I don't know what other shit you've tried, but anything like that. And feels great in the moment, gives you some short-term pain relief. But again, you end up going around in this cycle where it feels good for maybe a few hours, maybe a few days. But again, it's not building on any of those qualities that you need. So let's jump into it. First thing we did with Joe. So fracture, broke his foot on the 31st of December, 1st of Jan. What did we do? Well, to start off with, we couldn't do a huge amount with the foot from a loading point of view. So early on, we worked on other qualities that he would need that was going to help him with running. So, for example, straight away we started to work on hip and pelvis mobility. We started to work on how his spine was moving, just getting some movement there. We worked on a lot of other things as we were waiting for this foot to heal. And the very kind of low-level loading that we did do with the foot was isometrics very early on. So we used calf bridges to start to load the tissue and to prevent as much wastage as possible. And then we also got very creative with the strength work we did early on. So we continued to build strength at the quads, at the glutes, at the hamstrings without irritating the foot. And it's that fine balance in rehab between stimulating the injured area, getting the growth, especially with a break, but also getting everything around it strong and making sure we're on track with rehab. And you can just have a look at the videos that I'm sticking on screen now for examples. And that was the main bulk of it early on. Another thing that we did to actually start to introduce this idea of speed, which would prepare him for jumping, is something called overcoming isometrics, which again is something that you're probably not doing, especially early on in the rehab process, which is where Joe was pushing into a barbell or a wall, an object that couldn't move, and he was pushing as hard as he could into this object. And as he was doing that, you're generating a huge amount of force in your foot and ankle and throughout the rest of your lower body very, very quickly. And so that is replicating the demands of jumping and changing direction. And so it's very, very safe because you're not actually moving the joint or the tissue through any range of motion, but you're still training that speed quality early on in the rehab process, which makes that transition back to your normal plyometrics, like pogos and jumping, which we did do, much more smooth, instead of playing catch up and not doing much early on. So alongside that, we also did some upper body work for maintenance, some core work, just working on other aspects. We also, as I mentioned, started to work on a lot of different running qualities. So if you break down running, and not just running, but also if you play sport, running can be broken down into 4 main qualities. So, or let's say stages. Acceleration, max velocity, which is your max speed, change of direction, and deceleration. And so throughout the rehab process, this is what I mean by training those running qualities. We could train things that would improve all these things at a very low load, but actually nerve system wise and brain wise, it was very, very beneficial for Joe, because then he had a lot of confidence in those movements. His pain was reducing. He was starting to practice things that were specific to running. And therefore, this allowed, again, the transition to be much, much smoother. This wasn't the main bulk of his rehab. So this was like a little piece alongside strength, but it massively helped. And then another thing that we did early on was off-feet conditioning. So obviously he couldn't run straight away. So we did a lot of intervals on the bike, on the ski erg, on the row, on the assault bike. Very, very simple, not sexy, boring, but effective. And again, just looking to build a nice base of fitness before we could actually do any running. So that pretty much sums up early stage rehab. Actually, the one thing I've forgotten is we just used a very gradual approach of increasing the amount of walking he was doing as well. So he was on crutches initially, and week by week, we just gradually increased the amount of steps he was doing. Again, this is probably one of the most underrated things in foot and ankle rehab, because just by walking, obviously you're building conditioning around the foot and ankle. Nervous system wise, it's great, but you're also building again a decent, just a basic aerobic base of cardio, which is great. So that was the other big thing throughout the rehab process that we did very gradually. Then if we move on to, I would call it mid-stage rehab. So this is where the foot is pretty much fully healed, and we are starting to do some form of running drills. So we're starting to do these things called dribbles. Now, dribbles are a great way to reintroduce running. So dribbles can be split into 3 different categories, in my opinion. So you've got ankle dribbles, which essentially is you're just lifting up to the height of your ankle. So the easiest variation. Then you've got shin dribbles. So you're lifting up to the height of your shin. And then you've got knee dribbles. So you're lifting up to the height of your knee. And the way we programmed this to start was 10 seconds of a dribble and then 30-second walk for 8 to 10 rounds. So not a huge amount of stimulus, but again, very, very beneficial to start to get back to running. So we started with the ankle dribbles, nice and easy. Increase the amount of rounds, we increased the duration. So for example, from 10 seconds to 20 seconds to 30 seconds with less walking. And then we also progressed from, as I mentioned, ankle dribbles to shin dribbles to knee dribbles, because this is increasing the height that you're picking your leg up, therefore increasing the amount of load that you are putting through the foot and the ankle, the lower limb. So we start to do that initially only once a week, then twice a week, and then 3 times a week. And then from there, we start to blend in some speed work as well. So actually, before we start to do a lot of volume and distance with the running, my belief is that speed is at the top of the pyramid with running. Acceleration, actually working at higher speeds. And the reason for that is simply from a force point of view. So if you think when you're sprinting, you're having to sprint, change direction, decelerate, it could be anywhere from 5 to 8 times body weight of force going through the foot and ankle there. So actually, if you can nail that, then everything at a lower intensity, even if it's more volume, so like plodding up a hill or a fell or a mountain, isn't as bad. So then we started to build up and do very, very short acceleration based drills on 1 day a week. So literally, 10, 20 meter accelerations at 50% of his max power. And then again, just gradually built it up. What you'll start to notice is it's throughout the whole thing, his rehab looked very much just like how someone would train, but it was just scaled back and working around his weaknesses and his injury. But the bulk of it was 2 or 3 lower body days a week with strength, speed, mobility, and then 1 upper body day a week. And then this blended into a bit less upper body work. Yeah, it was really, really simple. So getting back to the mid-stage rehab, the other thing we started to do was get him into different positions with the strength exercises. So we could start to put a lot more pressure through the foot. So we could start to do things like, single leg calf raises, split squats, a lot of different things with the foot and ankle. And then we could also start to introduce some proper plyometrics. So pogo pops into some double leg pogos, into some single leg pogos, band assisted single leg pogos, deceleration work, change of direction work with some lateral bounding. And this is all blending now from mid stage all the way through to late stage rehab. So again, training all those different qualities of running, as I mentioned, change of direction, deceleration, max velocity, and acceleration. And then as we got towards the back end of rehab, it just got more and more specific to what he wanted to get back to, which was being able to do a HYROX event and also being able to do these longer runs. So let's say 5, 10, 15K in the fells, in the hills. So with a good amount of elevation. So we then decreased the amount of acceleration and speed work he was doing. And we just added a bit more volume in with some longer continuous runs. Again, to start this, we blended it in with the dribbles. So we might do, let's say, like 5 rounds of knee dribbles just to ease into it. And then we would do like 15 to 20 minutes of continuous running, flat, very easy. And then from there, we would just decrease the amount of dribbles, increase the time on the runs, and then build up to 30 to 40 minutes and then add some elevation in. So again, very, very gradual. So pain-wise, he was feeling good, but also confidence-wise, that was a massive thing. So he had confidence in the foot when he was on uneven ground, and also going up hills and decelerating as he was going down hills was a massive, massive aspect of that as well. So back end of rehab, we're currently in this rehab phase. We'll be working together for probably another 3 to 4 weeks. Then he'll be done with that. And what that currently looks like within the week is two lower body strength sessions. Then you've got 2 runs and then a HYROX sim on the weekend type of thing. So yeah, nothing too crazy. And then the other thing that I've forgotten to mention throughout the whole rehab process, he was obviously doing all these days in the gym, but also early on, all the way through, mid, late stage, he was doing daily mobility. So to get the foot and ankle moving. So early on, that was just some simple ankle circles, some overcoming isometrics. And then later on, we're getting into more complex movements of things that are training his proprioception a bit more, like floating heel clocks, some balance work, things like that, to get the foot feeling particularly solid. And again, just to improve his confidence with certain movements. And I find daily mobility that is only like 2 or 3 exercises is great. It only takes you 3 to 5 minutes. And the consistency is far more important there with the daily mobility, because again, it's a brain thing. So if you're getting constant feedback every day, then the brain starts to tell the tissues to adapt, tells everything to adapt, versus if you're trying to do like a 10, 20 exercise mobility sequence and you're not consistent with it, you only do it once or twice a week, you're not really going to see any consistent gains from that. So from a rehab and programming point of view, that was pretty much what we did. Pretty simple. A few things that I chatted through with Joe that were really important was kind of some misconceptions around pain, which we had to work through. So for example, this idea that more pain in like particular weeks or particular days somehow equaled more damage at the foot. And this wasn't the case. A lot of the time what was happening is Joe works quite a stressful job, and maybe that week he wasn't sleeping as well. Maybe that week he had a more stressful week at work. His nutrition wasn't on point. Maybe he went out for a beer or something, not one beer, a few beers. You get my point. And therefore his pain scores were increased, which is very, very normal. I think normalizing that is really important. And it's just working out strategies about how to bring that back down. No rehab journey, very few are completely smooth. and you have dips and troughs. It's just figuring out how to get through that. So that was a big one. More pain doesn't equal more damage. The second thing with Joe from kind of a mindset point of view was just reining him in. So he's someone that trains a lot, and it was just bringing him back and keeping the reins on him in terms of 1 or 2 weeks he was trying to do too many daily steps, and again, not based on my guidance, and that increased his pain scores above kind of minimal levels, which I would have liked. So that was just having the chat there and chatting through that. And then I think the third biggest thing was also explaining that he was panicking kind of early on in the rehab process because he was like, why isn't this going faster? And I was trying to explain to him that early on it can feel very, very slow, and then suddenly once we're able to do more plyometrics and load the calf a lot more because of the healing process, then everything kind of speeds up. And so it's having that honest conversation with people about how slow things are potentially feeling early on. They're also a lot more boring exercises. Everything's very boring. You can't do a lot. You can't do any running, jumping, proper strength work. And so it's just having that conversation. Apart from that was pretty much everything. So if you like the sound of that and you're struggling with a broken foot, a foot injury, an ankle injury, an Achilles injury, a plantar fasciitis, whatever it is, and you want to get back to running, you like the sound of that system, you can just drop me a WhatsApp message via the top link down below. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. Just drop me a message, inquire. If you're a good fit, what we'll do is we'll jump on a call. I will chat you through the system applied to your specific injury and context and goals. And then if we're a good fit, we can get cracking.